Hello everyone, Heinlein here. In this video I will give a rocket tutorial in the Mig-21. Let's get up our armament panel here. The Mig-21 can carry essentially two types of rockets. It is the S-24 and the S-5 rockets. The S-24A is the older one and has a 123 kilogram fragmentation warhead. It can be used against tanks, infantry and buildings. The S-24 is quite newer. It also has a 123 kilogram warhead, and this one can be used against bunkers as well. So it has a little bit more penetration power, and it has a low smoke emitting motor. The S-5 rockets you can get in two different configurations. You can get it in UB-16 and the UB-32, and this is the number of rockets per pod. You can only get the UB-32 on the inner pylons 2 and 4 or 1 and 2 on the weapon selector switch. The S-5 is a high explosive anti-tank round, and it has a warhead of roughly 1 kilo. Firing the S-24 and the S-5 is done the same way. I'm going to make a demonstration of that once we get in the air. So let's load up and get in the air. So now I have selected the S-24A on the outer pylons and the UB-32 on S-5 rockets on the inner pylons. So let's get in the air.
Request rearming.
So now we are in the air and we are approaching our target. In front of us on the airfield I have a couple of vehicles on the runway, and I have a couple of ships just out there. Here we have our trucks, and here we have a couple of ships. So let's just start up with setting up our aircraft. We want to set this to air to ground, this one to neutral, the weapon selector switch for firing the S-24 rockets. Up here I have it on pylon 3 and 4, like so, on the outer ones that is, and this one to LNC, this one to shooting, this one to auto, and this one to gyro, and the radar you put to locked beam, and make sure you have your radar warmed up before you get to the target. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to warm up, and turn it on like so. At this point you are ready to move in for the attack. I'm going to shoot at the ships first, and then we are going to go for the vehicles afterwards. Okay, right now we are approaching the ship, so I'm just going to pause for a little minute here. When we are going in for the attack, I like to have an airspeed of roughly 600 kilometers an hour. Right now I'm a lot slower because I didn't pay attention, but it doesn't matter that much, but that's just my preference. And then we are going to try and go in for a 30-degree dive, and have an altitude above 2000 meters is what I like, but that depends on the threat level. So the altitude is good, so let's on pause again and move in. Let's go for that ship right there. Engine to idle. Okay, let's get the Pipper within the target zone. Okay, let's just pause here for a minute. Right here, you see right now you saw this light here come on. This is the launch authorization light. That means we are within 2000 meters, and this is the best distance to firing the rockets. If we continue the dive, we will see this light comes on. This is the breakaway light this means that if you do not pull up right now, you run the risk of crashing. You should not challenge this, is my recommendation. And you see also the radar shows roughly 2000 meters away from the target. And another thing, when shooting the S-24s is always going to shoot them in pairs. So unlike the Grom missiles that fires only one of them at a time, this one will fire both of the S-24s in one go. So it's a lot of bang. So let's unpause. Oh, rifle. And it hits. Let's pull up. You saw the breakaway light came on. And that was quite a good hit, I would say. So let's move in and switch to our S5 rockets. Okay, slight change in plans. I realized in editing that it was a bit too convoluted to explain the function of the weapon selector switch on the S5 rockets. So I went back in the middle in the mission editor and loaded the aircraft up with 2 times UB-32 and 2 times UB-16s. This way it is a little bit simpler to explain and show the function of the weapon selector switch and the way the rockets are fired. So when it comes to the weapon selector switch, you want to if you're going to use this section right here, and this number right here shows the amount of rockets that is going to be fired per pylon. And it's going to be fired in pairs, and it's always going to start with the number 1 and number 2 pylon. And that is the inner pylons. You can overrule that by simply switching off the power to the weapon station, like so. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so when I, let's say, selecting, let's say 8, on the pylon 3 and 4. In theory, you would think that would mean that they're going to fire the outer pylons, but it won't. It will fire the inner pylons first, 8 rockets in each pylon, in total of 16. So, let's set up our aircraft really quick, air to ground. It is the same way as the S-24 rockets, except for the weapon selector switch, of course. This one to LNC, this one to shooting, this one to auto, this one to gyro, and radar beam on, like so, and radar on, like so. So, now I have selected 8 rockets, so let's press fire. And as you can see, 8, as you might be able to see here, 8 rockets, each disappeared from each one of these pylons. So in total of 16 rockets. So let's say you want to fire yeah, let's say 4 rockets, so you don't expend them all yet. And you want to use your outer pylons first. You can do that by switching off the power, like so. So if I press the fire button right now, 4 rockets disappeared from each of these outer pylons, the UB-16s. So that's one way to get around it. If you want to exploit your outer pylons first, it's an option, just so you know. So now we're going to do what I initially planned, to attack the vehicles on the runway. So let's unpause there. Like so. Going to fast forward a little bit. Okay, so now we are approaching our target right here. I'm going to make a left-hand turn so we get the targets up on our right-hand side. And I think I will fire 8 rockets in total from each pylon, in total of 16. And when it comes to, yeah, I'm just going to pause really quick. I'm going to do the same way as I do it with the S-24s. I'm going to try and have an initial speed of 600 kilometers an hour, and we're aiming for a 30-degree dive angle, and want to stay above 2,000 meters. Right now we are at 3,100, so we're good in that department. And we're going to, like last time, we are going to get our targets within the pipper here, and once the launch authorization light is on, we're going to fire and pull out when the breakaway light comes on. So let's on pause. Should be over target almost. Yeah, almost. Okay, let's move in, throttle to idle, and roll in. Okay, let's trim the aircraft. And pause. Right now the launch authorization light came on, so now we're going to fire. And breakaway light comes on, and power up, and pull out. So let's see if we manage to hit some of our targets. And it seems like we missed actually, so let's try to do it one more time. That was embarrassing for me. So let's go in with a little bit more punch this time. We have let's turn the dice down to 16, so we're going to fire in total of 32 rockets. That should do the trick. As you can see, we have quite a number of rockets left. Alright, now we're going to move in for another attack run. I can see the targets. Let's move in, engine to idle, and roll in. You should always roll in and not pull negative G's, or your engines might stall, just so we know. Okay, let's trim, light is on, and fire. Oh, a little bit too far I think. Think I hit. Let's pull out. Yeah, I hit both of them, so that was a good hit. I should be almost out of rockets by now, I think. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, my inner pylons are empty, so I'm going to jettison them. The inboard one, like so. And now they are pickled. For the next one, I think I'm going to only fire 4 rockets per pylon, so a little bit less bang on this round. I should have 8 rockets left, I think, in the pylons. Yep, 8 rockets. So, now we have lined ourselves up for another attack run, so I'm going to go for the last vehicle on the runway. Okay, let's roll in, engine to idle. We went a bit slow this time, but that's fine. I think I hit. Yeah, we did hit our target. Great. So, I hope this video was helpful in how to use the S-24 rockets and how to use the S-5 rockets and its relation to the weapon selector switch. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.